I'm pretty sure you'll recognize at least the general shape of this fly. This looks a lot like an Adams, and in fact it is an Adams Midge. The only difference between the Adams Midge and a regular Adams is it doesn't have the hackle point wings. We're going to tie an Adams Midge here. I've got a size 18 standard dry fly hook in the vise. This one happens to have a straight eye on it. When they get smaller than about 16, 18s, 20s, 22s, sometimes the straight eye is a little bit easier to work with than a down eye. Dubbing, this is an Adams, traditional Adams dubbing is muskrat, and you'll notice that there are a lot of guard hairs in here. For these flies this small, you don't want any guard hairs in them. So we're going to use a couple of other things. I've got some kapok dubbing here in an Adams, but I'm not going to use that. That works pretty well, compresses well. What I'm going to use is this silk dubbing, and this manufacturer, Krennic, makes threads of different types as well as some other materials, and we want to pull a little bit of this out. Notice that that's just a wisp, but it's going to be more than enough for the fly that we're going to tie. We're going to tie in the tail, and I'm using a spade hackle. This is a spade hackle feather. These come from the underside back, typically of a cape or of a saddle. And so I've pulled some of these out previously, and I'm going to cut off about 5 to 10 of these fibers. The fibers on a spade hackle are straight typically, and they're pretty rigid. And so what I do is I match up the tips by pulling them out like this, then take hold of them and just cut them off from the stem. You can tear them, but I find if I do that, the tips get out of line. They stay in line better like this. And then what I'm going to do, somebody showed me this trick, and I don't remember now who it was, but I'm just going to take a loose wrap over this bundle and let it kind of hang there. The tail of these is a mixture of brown and grizzly. So I've got a piece off of grizzly spade hackle, and I'm going to get about the same number of fibers out the side of that. Follow the same process. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to line the tips up with these brown hackle tips. And I'm going to kind of intermix them. And then I'm going to pull them off together. Missed a couple there, we don't need those. And so now I've got the hackle tips mixed together without having to do what I've seen other people do. That is, put them down and try to mix them together in their fingers. And so now I want this about the length of the hook, which is about right there. And I'll grip that and get my thread back to the tie-in point. And then I want to go down at a 45-degree angle. And we'll do this real quickly with a pinch wrap, about the length I want. And then the second wrap should pull it up right on top of the hook. If for some reason that looks a little long to me, you can just get hold of the whole bundle and pull it back just a little bit. And then we'll take some more wraps to really seat that. Pull this up and just clip it off. And now we're going to put some dubbing on there, some of this silk that I pulled out, and I really just want a wisp of it. So we're going to start out with just a little wisp. It compresses really well. If we need to build it up a little bit, we can put a little more on top of that, and then just a little bit at the bottom. One of the things about these small hooks is that we really have to protect the eye. We have to avoid going so far up to the eye that we crowd the eye. And so now I'm going to work that dubbing back to the tie-in point of my tail, and I'll just start forward, tighten that up a little bit. And I want this to be about two-thirds of the length of the hook shank. So, and have a slight build up that taper in front, just a slight taper. I'm going to tie in the brown feather first. I prep these just like other feathers that I tie in that I separate out or stroke out the fibers and then cut and leave that little comb that the thread catches. Hold this at about a 45-degree angle. Take a wrap over it, and then make sure I get 2 or 3 good wraps. And I want to work that back against the body. We're going to prep and tie in the grizzly feather the same way. And get some good firm wraps over that. Then we'll take our hackle tweezers or hackle pliers and attach to the grizzly feather. And I want to get about 3 good wraps here. And once I get that, then I'll go ahead and take a couple of wraps to secure it. Clip off the excess. And pull that back and take a couple of wraps. Grab the brown hackle. With the hackle pliers. And this will go interspersed or between the grizzly hackle, 3 turns, flip away the excess, everything back that we can. Take a couple of whip 3-turn whip finishes. Get rid of any stray fibers there. And that is an Adams Midge.